What's good, beautiful people? It's your boy Pokemaster K, bringing you a Pokemon toy opening. Now, these are the original, the classic Takara Tomy figures from back in the 90s, early 2000s. Now, I held on to these for, I think I picked them up about 6-7 years ago from eBay. I held on to them for a long time because I was like, hey, these things are going to get expensive. People are going to want them, so forth, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, here's the issue. Takara Tomy, as much as I love the Takara Tomy brand, and I still do, I mean, this doesn't make any difference, they did renew a lot of the figures. There's new Vaporeon, new Scyther, Blastoise, Venusaur. A lot of these figures that were out have all been renewed. And basically, it's the same mold for a lot of them. Like, if you find the Scyther right here indoors, like in stores, it's the same exact figure, just, made a little bit prettier. So I decided, instead of continuously just holding these in their packages where it's taking up room, let's go ahead and open them. So I think we're going to do it in order, and we're going to do 2 separate videos for these. So, of course, Venusaur, Blastoise will be the first 2. Then it'll go over to Vaporeon and Scyther, and then I'm thinking about doing Omastar, Machop, Machamp, Ekans, and Arbok, and I think that's the order we're going to go in. So we're going to make it 2 separate videos, and I hope you guys enjoy, because I'm actually excited for this. I'm a huge fan of Takara Tomy figures, especially when 3rd Gen, when the toys for 3rd Gen started being taken over by Hasbro, and I was just like, this isn't what I want. I didn't have the same love for it. I didn't appreciate it as much. Like, those are the people who made this Rayquaza right here. See what I'm talking about? That Rayquaza was just a monstrosity, just terrible, terrible figure. And yes, it was bigger. Yes, it did more. It just didn't look good. The chest was bulky. It wasn't great. So these are the figures I love. Yes, they don't do much. They don't move. When you're a child, all you need is your imagination. Am I right? Like, you don't need figures that are going to shoot lasers and stuff. You just need a little bit of imagination. So we'll be right back with our first 4 openings. I'm excited about this because these are figures I grew up with, and when I first found these on eBay, I was like, oh! And it's been killing me not to open these for the past 6 or 7 years. So, be right back. Alright, so our first 4, Venusaur, Blastoise, Scyther, and Vaporeon, all set up. As you can see, Vaporeon and Scyther come with their little special Pokeballs. That was another little addition that Takara Tomy threw in their original Pokemon line. It was a nice little thing. But I'm ready. I'm ready to get into these. Now, this is the Japanese packaging. So these are, even older than in the US, because I believe these figures, I don't know how much longer, but they came out a little bit, earlier before the US figures did, of course, because the series is originally from Japan. So let's get into the Venusaur first. You know what? The packaging, as you can see, there's a little, right here, there's a little hole. I don't know how well you can see that. There you go. It's a little cracked. The packaging's not in great condition. Keep in mind, these figures, the packaging is many, many years old, and these packages aren't really meant to withstand time, you know what I'm saying? Which is why, say, the Vaporeon one is so brown. It started darkening, and I don't know, that probably depreciates the value of the figure altogether when the packaging starts turning like that or when it falls apart. But let's go ahead. Let's get into this Venusaur. I'm super excited. Again, there's not much to these figures except for their beauty. They're just beautiful figures. You get a little booklet. Oh, man, I remember having the Articuno, the Zapdos, the Dragonite. I remember I used to tear off the little antenna for Dragonite because I thought it was ugly, man. Oh, Mewtwo, at the end of this, I actually got a story for you guys about the Mewtwo and the Electabuzz. I want the Electabuzz so bad, but all these figures I had, man, I was so spoiled. I had every figure from the 1st gen except Slowbro. I eventually got Slowbro many years later, and then I got rid of my Pokemon collection again, which I'm sad about, but when I moved to Washington, I kind of left it back behind. So, we're starting off with our Venusaur. Let's put its little packaging right there. Let's get it open. Now, one thing that, as a kid, I wasn't a huge fan of was the way that some of these figures, such as the Venusaur, had this little hole down there. I never really understood what it was about. You see that? It doesn't really make too much sense to me, but it's still a beautiful figure. Look at that. The shading looks great. The figure itself looks great, and it's so much memory, so much childhood. Oh, I don't know. To me, it's a beautiful figure. Again, yes, it's just one solid piece of plastic, but it's one solid piece of childhood plastic. Like, I don't know, man. I'm super excited to open these. I'm going to stick them up somewhere nice. Now, I did buy the remakes of the Venusaur, the Blastoise, and the Charizard. And I had them on a shelf, and I was just like, it's not the same. It doesn't feel the same. I want the classics. I dropped it. I want the classics. And here we are opening 2 of the 3, but also with a Scyther, who's one of my favorites, and Vaporeon, who is my favorite from the original gen of Evolutions. So let's go ahead. Let's get into the Blastoise, shall we? Now, Blastoise, I gotta say, Blastoise is probably my least favorite figure of all of the first gen. Well, you know what? I think I'd say Moltres was. Moltres, just to me, did not look great. Yeah, there's the Moltres figure. I just didn't like how it stood. I didn't like how it was, displayed. But, again, it wasn't a bad figure. It's an old figure. So you can't be that mad about it, you know what I'm saying? But, to me, it was like the ugliest of them. So Blastoise here, again, it's got this. I used to stick this guy, the original one I had, on top of my pencils. So here's the thing with this Blastoise in particular. There's some bleeding issues, as you can see, where the blue is kind of bleeding over, as well as the tan. And you can see where there's kind of just a little speck of white missing. I actually don't blame this on the original paint job. I think that kind of rubbed off on the plastic over the years. In fact, let me take a quick little peek and see if I can see a bit of rubbing off on it. Honestly, I personally can't tell, but I do think that's what happened. I think over the years there was a bit of rubbing. But as you can see, a lot of the paint is just kind of going overboard. And like I said, this is one of my least favorite ones. Not as bad as the Moltres, but but I still, I'm still excited to place this up on my desk or somewhere and just have it for display. It's such a tiny figure. I mean, keep in mind, when you were a kid, this figure used to be fucking huge. Or, I'm trying not to cuss, but, it used to be freaking huge. And, it would be ginormous. But look at it compared to my finger, okay? Like, this is my index finger. And, I'm a grown adult now, you know what I'm saying? I also remember... I got a couple stories. I got one for after this, and I got one for after the next video. So let's go ahead and jump into the Scyther, who has the Pokeball as well, which I'm super excited about. I always thought those were cool little additions that they added to some of the figures. And I feel like it was something that they should have kept doing. And of course, I believe Takara Tomy figures do have that again now with the current figures. But you see how dark it is? Like, let's take the Blastoise or the Venusaur plastic, put them next to each other. The plastic's just, it's getting all over the place. I love the Scyther, though. I always loved this Scyther figure. My issue was I always broke it. I think I went through like 3 or 4 of these as a kid, and I'd always break the blades off, which isn't great. But, the figure itself looks pretty nice. There's some little white paint that bled over here. Not even really bled. It looks like someone kind of just wiped a brush across it real quick, which isn't a huge issue. But again, the Takara Tomy figures, just the shading and stuff, like you have this little bit of shading right here where it's a little lighter and everything. I find it beautiful. I find it to be... I don't know, man. I don't know if it's just my childhood or what. And, guys, keep in mind, if you're trying to look for the real figures, there are a lot of fakes out there. These ones, boom, to Tomy, Aldi Tomy, easy to find. I believe that's just for the Japanese ones. But I say go for the Japanese packaging ones because I feel like that's a little safer. We're going to go ahead and put our Scyther right there, though. Look at him. He looks like a monster. Looks like a monster compared to the other two. He's definitely bigger. And then our last ones are... Oh, you know what? I almost forgot. About the little Pokeball on here. Because I'm just... It's been so long, guys. Oh, it fell out. It's been so long. And you know what? The Pokeball, it's made out of nice hard plastic. Hear that? Nice hard plastic. It's going to last. It looks great. It's a great little addition to a figure. You just go ahead and you stick that up somewhere. Of course it's plastic. There's some, some flaws, but that's not a huge deal. It's an exciting thing. And, oh man, guys, I don't know. I'm super excited about all this. And I knocked over the Scyther. Knocked over our Scyther. Alright. So there's our Scyther. We have one more to go, being our Vaporeon and a Master Ball. No, it's a Great Ball. I had another figure somewhere. Haven't seen it in a long time. That one had the Master Ball. I had the Great Ball, I had the Pokeball, and I had the Master Ball. No idea where it went, but it's okay. It's not a huge deal. let's go ahead. Let's get into the Vaporeon. Again, my favorite of the evolutions as a kid. Oh, you know what? There was something added into here. What is this? What is this? No idea. I can't read that. If someone could read that, go. Wait, is that a date? No. Yeah? No. No, that's not a date. I mean, if someone could read that, they go ahead. I don't know if there's a date anywhere on here. Usually there are dates, but I don't exactly see one. So if you guys see it, you guys want to point it out, go for it. Our last of this set is going to be our Vaporeon. Beautiful, beautiful Vaporeon. You know, I think it was like called a mermaid or something in the first gen. I mean, it's a beautiful figure. Look at her. She's calm. She's collected. She's cool. She's just chilling. The back doesn't really have too much to it, but that's okay. You kind of just look at the front anyway. And I remember I used to just kind of, you know, butt smash other figures with this one because he kind of just stood there. So his attack was, instead of headbutt, it was like just butt bounce or some shit like that. I did whatever I wanted to, you know, I was a kid. But it's a beautiful looking figure. I mean, wow. Wow. I mean, I get amazed by these figures that are so old, and I know they're just not as amazing as I make it seem, but to me, they blow it out of the water, guys. They do. So now we just have to get our little Great Ball out of here because, I mean, you know, Great Ball's part of it. Let's stick that up there real quick. This one actually has an S on it, which is a little weird. I don't know if the original Great Ball is called Super Ball, maybe? I don't know, but it has an S on it. You know, it's a nice little ball. It's a nice little coloring. It looks good. And we just stick it right next to our Vaporeon. Boom. Look at that. That looks great. That looks beautiful to me. Anyways, guys, there it is. There's the set. Now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to tell you the little story that I wanted to tell you. We're going to do a little story about my Pokemon childhood at the end of each of these opening videos. So I'll be right back just after this quick cut. Alright, so we were discussing the Mewtwo figure. This figure came out a little bit later in the set. As for what I recall, I don't know, it's just a story that my mother and my grandmother both used to like to tell me. Now, you know, of course they had to wait until, I would assume, the first movie to really release that character. And, you know, the movie came out, Mewtwo was a big hit, very popular character, and I needed to have this figure as a kid. And I was spoiled, like I said. My grandmother took very good care of me. And, you know, one thing that my grandmother was very proud of, where, you know, she was very good to me. She spoiled me way beyond my mother, way beyond anyone. And my grandmother being 60-something years old at that time, went running into a store, basically leaving my mom behind because she knew it had to be done. Knowing that I wanted that Mewtwo, that was like one of the main things I asked for that Christmas, and it was Black Friday or one of the last chances to get it or whatever it was, and it was just a huge rush, and she actually went in. She went in and got that Mewtwo. I guess that there was a fight that started between my grandmother and someone else's, I don't know, grandmother or mother, but my grandmother got into an actual fight for the toy, and... You know, I always appreciate that story, you know, because it shows, you know, how much my grandmother cared about me, and, you know, it's a great story to hear about. But, yeah, that Mewtwo, man, I got that figure, I did, and I never really cherished it when I was a kid as much as I would have, knowing, you know, being an adult. And eventually I lost it, or I got rid of it, or something. But, yeah, I mean, it's the Mewtwo figure, if I can ever get my hands on another one, which hopefully someday I do. I mean, I'm sure I can find someone that sells the original one. I don't want the remake. I don't want the Takara Tomy X and Y and Up remake ones. I want the classic one, just because it's the same one that, you know, it's not the exact same one, but the same one that my grandmother got me. So it's definitely one I'm looking out for. But, you know, I just think it's an interesting story, right? My grandmother, an elderly woman, went and fought for a Pokemon toy for her grandchild, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have, you know, a story about your grandparents or parents doing that. I just think it's funny. Guess my grandmother hit someone over the head with something. I don't know. It's just a moment I cherish, and so I thought I'd share it with you guys. You know, So that's just a little story. And there's another story I have with, me being not a bad person, but me being a little shit at the end of the next video. So we're going to end this here, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I'm excited to put these figures up somewhere nice. Looking to get some cabinets set up behind me, which you guys can't see behind me, but like for Let's Plays and stuff, so you guys will see behind me. But looking to put up a shelf or something there. I'm looking to put these on there. But y'all have a great day. I love ya. Keep buzzing, and I am out. Peace.